Let's make some noise. Come on.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles, for that rousing introduction yet again. And a way to start off our final show of our broadcast week here on this Thursday night. Welcome aboard, everybody, to the final word here on the Instagram Sports Network, with your boy MattyB on the call. Your purveyor of positivity, your broker of good feelings on this Thursday night here in the Delaware Valley and all points east, west, south, and north. It's great to have you here for our final episode of this week, our 240th episode of the Final Word. By the way, a little small milestone here tonight on the show. Good to be here. Good to have you here. And as the show theme sort of dictates, maybe nobody really does like us, as the saying goes, right? Yeah, what is it? No one likes us and we don't care, which, of course, we all know that's false. We do care, but maybe they got something there, because the Eagles continue their search. Now, it depends on what side of the fan base you're talking to about this whole thing. If you're talking to the real fans, they're getting a little concerned because of all the candidates that you look at as being viable, being professional, being proven as offensive coordinators, have either decided to go elsewhere or for some odd reason not accepting the phone call, right? You talk to the homers. Well, it's a whole different story. It's a whole different kettle of fish when it comes to the homers and this whole offensive coordinator conundrum. It's because the Eagles are taking their time. It's because maybe the Eagles didn't want McDaniel, or maybe they didn't really want Dable, or maybe they never took an interview with them, or maybe they balked at them, not the other way around. So I don't know where the truth lies. Maybe it lies somewhere in the middle. Usually that's where truth does lie. But I am here to tell you, as I am here to be the purveyor of positivity. I'm going to get that tattooed across my forehead. The purveyor of positivity, because there is a war that has been brewing for a very long time between the homers and everybody else. And I very proudly stand on the other side of the line, because I will not allow myself to be influenced. I won't allow myself to be brainwashed. I won't allow myself to be belittled into thinking the way everybody else thinks. I am a free thinker from the tip of my pointed head down to my flat ass feet. That's just how Mama B raised me. All right. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have a hatred for homers. I don't. Because if I said on this program many a times, homerism is a sickness. It's a sickness that needs to be treated and cured. And as I've also said, I am here. Any homer that wants to reach out to me and tell me that they got a problem, I will be the first person to get the van, kidnap them, take them to the burned out factory with the best deprogrammer money can buy, and we'll get you on the road to recovery. But what I do want to and this is sort of a PSA all the time when I go to war with the homers, right? When I step up to the plate against the homers, I'm not telling you to think the way I do. I'm not going to tell you to do that. But I'm also going to tell you that you don't have the right to tell me that I'm wrong. You don't have the right to tell me that I'm off my nut. You don't have the right to tell me jack squat. Just like I don't have the right to tell you that. So the war is raging between the homers and the delusional. I guess they're all kind of in the same camp, and the rest of us. And tonight we'll obviously continue the conversation about why nobody likes us. Why, oh, why does nobody like us? Is it Jalen Hurts? Is it Nick Sirianni? Freaking Jeff Stoutland's name was thrown into it. When is Fat Dom's name getting mixed into all this? When is Fat Dom the reason that nobody wants to come here? When does that start to become front page news, right? So why is it? Because, yeah, I do believe that the truth does lie in the middle. It lies in the middle of the Eagles are doing their due diligence versus there's people that just don't want to come here for whatever reason. So the truth does lie in the middle of that. I'm not saying it's completely on my side, and I'm not saying it's completely on the homer side. It does lie in the middle. And there might be things from both sides that are affecting this. But one thing is to be certain. There's a problem with people wanting to come here. And I would love to know from a homer. I don't get to talk to many homers because you know what? Homers are also part of the cancel culture, right? You don't agree with them, they're going to shut you down, right? And then they're not going to be part of they're not going to have you in the conversation. I would love to invite a homer. I know a bunch of homers. Most of them are scared of me. Most of them won't debate me. Most of them won't ever come out of their shadows to debate me. But I would love to get a homer, not Al. Al's easy. Al's low-hanging fruit. I don't want to debate Al anymore. I've been debating Al for the last 4 years. I want somebody new. I want a virgin homer, someone new to the fray, to come on here and try to explain to me why they feel that, one, this job is desirable. And again, I'm not saying that it's not desirable, but I am also not saying that it is 100% desirable, that there's a problem with this organization, and it lies somewhere inside the clubhouse. So if you know a homer out there, one, if you know a homer that's in need, please have them reach out to me for help. And two, if that homer doesn't want any help and he wants to debate me or she wants to debate me, let's go. I sit on this thing every night and I talk to like-minded individuals. Not that I don't appreciate that, not that I don't revel in it. And Michael Papernick, Joe Hale, Ricky Deal, by the way, I hope you're doing well, and all the others who participate on this show. Mainly are kind of in line with my way of thinking. And I love that. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But, I'm kind of wanting to, what's going on here? Kind of want to get into some sort of like, it's time to sharpen my claws, man. I want to get into some fight. I want to fight. I want us to fight. So if you know a homer, please get him out here. I'd like to take care of it. Joe Hale says, hey, everybody, what's going on, Joe? Hope Sunday is not bad. Is not that bad of what they're saying. Yeah, there's the big snow coming in. I think you typically for these types of storms. Now it's rolling in from the other side of the country, so this has got some steam. This is not something coming off the ocean, so it may have a little gusto behind it, depending on what the weather is. It doesn't matter if once it gets close to sea level or once it gets close to the ocean, it kind of starts to dissipate anyway. If it's not coming from the ocean, so it may. Hopefully, peter out a little bit to be more of a snow rain type thing. But yeah, batten down the hatches. Yeah, stock up on milk and bread. For some odd reason, that is like the go-to food at a supermarket. I never understood that. What are we doing? Why milk and bread? I don't get it. I don't get the reasoning around milk and bread. Wouldn't it be like more applicable for like beer and pizza to kind of wait out a snowstorm? Milk and bread. What are we doing? What are you doing with milk and bread during a blizzard? Star Wars also says, good luck. Weston, yes. Weston Wilson, the Orioles claimed him off waivers. Yeah, he was DFA'd to make room for JT. Yes, he was. And we reported that last week, of course, when it happened. Weston Wilson is now a member of the Baltimore Orioles. You can scratch him off your utility player, your revolving door between Lehigh Valley and Philadelphia. Now his revolving door will be between Baltimore and where is it at? Right outside of Aberdeen. Aberdeen, Maryland is where the Ironbirds play. So that's where his revolving door will be in the future. But, hey. Sorry, Weston Wilson, no more Philly. Yeah, I don't know. We're supposed to hold a funeral or something. But we'll definitely get into the Phillies because the other side of this whole topic about maybe people don't really like has been that the Eagles are not specific in all this now. Nah. Because now we got the Phillies. Of course, it's been a hot topic the latter part of this offseason. Major trades going down the pike. Last night, the Mets got better. As we reported on this program, Freddie Peralta is now headed to the Mets. Sort of kind of rounds out their pitching staff a little bit. Another big, huge trade went down today. Mackenzie Gore of the Nationals got dealt with, got dealt over to the Texas Rangers for about 5 prospects. As Texas is I guess plussing up that rotation, hoping that DeGrom will give him 2 years without injury. And of course, we got the Rangers coming in here on opening weekend, and we'll probably see Gore along with DeGrom in that series. So big trade for the Rangers today. Big trade for the Mets yesterday. Nothing for the Phillies as they remain content in their offseason wish list. So again, the whole narrative that maybe nobody really does like us is not exclusive to the Eagles, as the Phillies sort of kind of limp down the stretch of their offseason into spring training. But again, I told you last night, I am not completely off this whole thing with the Phillies. And I honestly believe that we've all been duped into this Bo Bichette thing. Like it was something that we figured it was going to be from the beginning. And I think that's being lost in all this. As I've said this millions of times. Bo Bichette would have been nice. But who the hell had Bo Bichette on their bingo card? Except for Michael Kaepernick, apparently, back in November, who told me last night that he did. And I'm not going to doubt him, but he's a minority. Not many people had Bo Bichette on their bingo card in November. Not many people had anybody other than, because again, what did we talk about in November? And I'm not saying this is wrong or right. The big three, Real Muto, Schwarber, Suarez. That was all everybody was talking about. And I find it so funny. The same people that were talking about getting all three of them re-signed are now sitting here bitching about the fact that we didn't get Bo Bichette. You got 2 out of the 3 back. You missed out on Suarez. But you got 2 out of the 3 back. But yeah, you're going to sit here and say the Phillies have done nothing this offseason. Well, didn't they kind of do what you wanted them to do? Most people, and they're lying to you. They are lying to you if they tell you they wanted to go outside and sort of tear this thing down from the out, bring in other players, say goodbye to this core. They'd be lying to you if they told you that back in November, or if they told you that now, because back in November, back at the end of October, they weren't saying that. Keep Schwarber. We got to re-sign JT. Let's also try to get Suarez. Okay, so how do you figure they're going to mix in Bo Bichette or Kyle Tucker or Cody Bellinger and all that? There's just no money. There's not enough money to do that. So I get it. You know, they dangled the meat in front of the lion and then they yanked it away. I understand people's frustration, but we've lost sight of this whole thing since November. There was never going to be extensive external free agent movement with this baseball team. We talked about it in nauseum heading down the stretch, heading into the postseason, and then right outside the postseason. There was never any real inclination that the Phillies were going to be big-time prime players in free agency in 2026. Too many internal issues that they had to resolve, and the growing list of long-term contracts. So again, I'm not sitting here stamping my stamp of, or my seal of endorsement on Dave Dombrowski this offseason. I'm not, because I wanted certain players that he didn't get. I wanted Pete Alonso. I wanted Luis Ariz. They're not here. I wanted Kaylee Jansen. He's not here. I wanted an actual fifth starter in order to sort of not have to rely on Andrew Painter. That didn't happen. All I got was a revamped bullpen from the middle relief down and into the minor leagues. I got an over-the-hill or never will be right fielder in Garcia. I still got Castellanos and Bohm. I get it, man. I'm not happy either. But there's one piece of this puzzle that I've maintained that I still think has yet to be revealed, and that is the influence of the younger players. The players that were named by Dave Dombrowski by name during his exit press conference. He's never done that before. He's never mentioned them by name. He's always said in a vague way, yeah, we got to infuse some of the young talent. We got to get some of the younger players in. He's never gone as far as to say their names. But he did that last fall, and I take that the intention of this team, based on its salary limitations, its money situation, is to infuse some of that young talent into 2026. And again, the same people that were bitching and moaning last season about the status quo we're also bitching and moaning that we never play the young players. Well, now here you go. We haven't done it yet, but that seems to be the direction they're headed. So what do you want? I guess that's the question I want to ask the Philly faithful. What the hell do you want? I understand this roster as it's currently constructed is not a World Series champion. But fortunately, we have 3 weeks till what? Well, that's about 2 weeks now. Yeah, about 3 weeks. Until pitchers and catchers report. You have a month of spring training, and you have a 6-month regular season to get through before we can even discuss with any kind of legitimacy what this team will look like in the playoffs. I fully expect the roster that breaks camp in Clearwater and comes to Philly to play the Rangers in late March will not be the same roster that you see in October. There's going to be different pieces added along the way. Pieces are going to fall off as well. But again, I understand your frustration, especially when you dangle the meat in front of the lion and then you rip it away from them. I get it. But I think we can't lose sight in the overall picture here. Do I feel that they're a World Series roster right now? Hell no. No. Are they a 90 win roster? Yeah, they are. And that's part of the puzzle too, is to get to the postseason. If they don't change as the season progresses and they are still doing the same nonsense with Bohm and, Schwarber, where's he batting? Stott, where's he batting? The same MO, swinging at pitches in the ground, all that offensive frustrations that drive people crazy. If that doesn't change or get infused with new blood as we move through this course of the season, you're right. It ain't going nowhere. But I have a heavy feeling that by the time this season ends, the name Gabriel Rokonis Jr. will be a household name for Phillies fans. The name Justin Crawford will be a household name. Andrew Painter, which these Crawford, Painter, they are already household names, but Painter will be a household name. And then finally, at some point later on in the season, Aiden Miller is going to make his impression on this team. So as long as that continues to sort of morph itself through the season, I can't sit here and tell you what they're going to be like in October. You can't do it either. Now, if things don't change through the season, and if we have the same crap we've had, then no, you're right. It's not going anywhere. But please look at me in the eye. And again, I invite all newcomers to this. Tell me that you were big-time players, that you thought the Phillies were going to be big-time players in free agency. Are teams making trades around the Phillies? Yeah, 100%. Are they pulling in, big names and revamping rosters? 100%. But here's the thing. The Phillies haven't moved off of anybody. I mean anybody, to include minor league prospects. Have you noticed that too? A lot of these major deals are involving prospects. Phillies haven't traded any prospects this offseason. Not viable ones, at least. Not anybody on the top 30. They've moved some lower level minor leaguers around, but they haven't dipped into their resource bag. That's okay by me. Because that's what it's going to cost. It was always going to cost those players to bring in big names from trades. We were fooling ourselves for months thinking Alec Bohm was going to bring back anything in value in a 1-for-1 type of trade. We were fooling ourselves that somebody out there was going to take on $20 million of Nick Castellanos' money based on his performance over the last 2 seasons. We were fooling ourselves for that. And that's okay. And because that's what we do. The real prize laid within the prospects in the minor league system. And to Dave's credit, and I know we're probably running out of that, and I know Dave's probably itching like a crackhead, wanting to trade the minor leagues, but he's holding back. He's holding out. And there's a reason he's holding out. They have real belief, I think, in some of these players that they're going to be impactful at the major league level here very soon. If not, Justin Crawford would have been dealt at some point this offseason. Aiden Miller would have a different address at some point this offseason. Gabriel Rokonis, Escobar, Cabrera, Seth Johnson, Moises Chase, all these players that we were starting to kind of learn would have all been moved at some point this offseason in a big-time trade. But none of them have been moved. Why? Because I think the Phillies really believe in some of their impact here in 2026. So that's the last piece that I'm hanging on to. I'm hanging on to the infusion of young talent or prospective young talent into this Phillies team in 2026. Because let's face it, with the lockout looming, with the potential salary cap happening, maybe the Phillies just don't want to bury themselves alive in extended contracts for the foreseeable, uncertain labor future. I get what the teams are doing this year. We've seen the Mets do this over and over and over again. It never works for them. Will it work this year? I don't know. We've seen the Dodgers be the way the Dodgers are, and there's no doubt in my mind the Dodgers will be there when the smoke clears. I'm not saying that they won't. They're a very talented team and a deep team. But some of that deepness has come from their own system. they've offsetted some of those big-time players with some minor league prospects that have come up through the system. The Braves will probably come back. The Braves haven't made many moves this offseason, but the Braves are banking on the return of some of their players from a massively injured 2025. I get it. I know you're frustrated, but it's not all lost. It hasn't even begun yet. And for those of you that want to cast Dave Dombrowski out of here, I understand why. I'm with you. I'm on the same plane there. I get you. But there's a piece to this puzzle that you're not privy to and that I'm not privy to. There's a very key piece to this that Dave's not telling us, rightfully so. And I'm going to believe that's what it is. It's the young players. Now, if we don't see that, and if there's not a labored effort to get some of these young players inside, into this team, then yeah, it's time, man. It's time to clear house. But this is what I wanted. I wanted the young players to come here, and everyone looked at me crazy back in November. We're talking about Gabriel Conis Jr. He's not going to make the team. You know what I mean? Otto Kemp. You're not going to keep him around. And so far, so good. Conis hasn't made the team yet, but we'll see. I'm telling you, though, stranger things have happened. So I'm holding out hope, man. I'm holding out hope. The Eagles are keeping A.J. Brown. I don't know, little G. We'll see. Oh, and that's another thing. Again, back to the Eagles stuff. How much of this is A.J. Brown and A.J. alone? How much are the Eagles being held hostage by A.J. Brown? If tomorrow morning, Howie Roseman, or if last week, for example, Howie Roseman traded A.J. Brown, would Brian Dable be the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles? Would Mike McDaniel bypass going out to Southern California and became the new offensive coordinator of the Eagles? I mean, I'm sure he's part of this. Or how much of this nests within the head coach and the quarterback? Nobody wants to talk about it. You get shunned aside from the friggin' homers when you mention the underperformance of your quarterback and the buffoonery of your head coach. They sweep it aside like he's the most winningest head coach in Eagles history. No, he's not. No, he's not. Not by wins and losses, he's not. Okay? He's not. I mean, he's got 2 Super Bowl or he's got 1 Super Bowl. He's got 1. So does Doug. He's been to 2. Well, he lost 1. When do we start giving points out for losing? He lost the Super Bowl. Right? And by the way, that's sort of how this goes. We always want to say Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl. No, he didn't. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts lost to Pat Mahomes in Super Bowl 57. No, he didn't. The Eagles did. It has nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. It has everything to do with the team. So I want to know, man, if somebody can dig to the bottom of this and why we're not signing offensive coordinators. Is this are the Eagles actually posturing themselves to not sign, to hold out? If they're holding out for somebody, who the hell is that? And again, I don't have insider knowledge. I'm not down there at the facility. I don't know what's going on, but I'm telling you, if you don't think there's something other than they're being selective, I think you're fooling yourself a little bit. There's more to this. There is absolutely more to this, and this job may not, and probably is not that desirable under the current conscript of the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's time for homers. Well, you know what? It's not. You guys can continue to live your lives in the sand. I don't mind. It's your dime. I don't really care what you do, but stop telling people that they're wrong. Stop taking this moral, righteous high ground and telling people that they're wrong, because you don't know as little as I do or as much as I do. But you're going to get so goddamn pious about it and say, well, you're being negative, so you must be the enemy. No, we're being controversial because we're free thinkers. All right? We're in love with the name on the front, not the name on the back. And that seems to be also a common thread with the homers these days. They're not in love with the Philadelphia Eagles. Don't let a homer tell you they love the Eagles. They don't. Homers love Jalen Hurts. Homers love Nick Sirianni. Homers love the players. They're not in love with the team because anybody can see that the team needs a major overhaul when it comes to a certain amount of internal workings of the coaching staff, potentially in key positions on this football team. But when you mention making those moves, you mentioned moving Jalen Hurts along, you mentioned maybe not to maybe a lesser extent with A.J. Brown. But you mentioned moving off of Nick Sirianni. You get their ire. They strike back at you with some bullcrap, living in the past type stuff, and they claim they're Eagles fans. They're not Eagles fans. They're Nick Sirianni fans. They're Jalen Hurts fans. They are your enemy. They are the free-thinking fans' enemy. Every last homer out there is your enemy. And they must be destroyed. I'm just saying. Don't let them talk you into something. They claim they're in love with the team, but they're not. They're in love with the players. So that conversation is definitely on the table tonight. Yes, Joe Hale, they will be open. I will get the phone lines going. Last night, the Flyers, boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What a shot in the ass that was, man. Oh, my God. Up 3-0. Choked that away to 3-2. Got back up 4-2. Right? Got a little hairy at 4-3. Then they have a chance at the end. Garnet Hathaway. I mean, listen, this has happened multiple times this season. It's happened to Andre, Mitchkov, and now Hathaway. These are the 3 times that I've seen this happen to Flyers players this season. And there's a problem with this. When it's 3 times to 3 different players, it's more than dumb luck. It's more of a trend and kind of a philosophical problem. I don't know, but they fall asleep out there and they get their pocket picked, and it usually costs the Flyers in some sort of goal type way. Last night, Garnet Hathaway, with an opportunity to put the game away, got poke checked from behind as he was skating kind of in on a mini 1-on-0 breakaway to make it, put the game away 6-4. And the poke check obviously gave new life to Ottawa. They returned down the ice. Travis Sanheim, one of the softest ass defensive plays I've ever seen, gets kind of balled over. And with leaving our goaltender, Sam Ersson, out there on an island, that's never going to work. We got a 5-5 game, and then they cough it up in the overtime 6-5. I mean, again, this has happened now 3 times that I have seen. Earlier this season, Emil Andre, with the puck in his own zone, with his head up, completely oblivious to the players that were behind him, had his pocket picked that led to a goal. And then a little bit after that, MattyB Mitchkov had it happen to him. So when you have the same kind of thing happen to 3 different players, that's not bad luck. That's a trend. That's a trend, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Sam Ersson was Sam Ersson. You just knew he could not hold it back, right? You knew you just couldn't do it. And when that poke check happened and Hathaway lost the puck, I knew at that point, this game's over, man. We're going to lose. We are going to lose. We are going to – they're going to tie it. We get to overtime with our 2-5 record in overtime, and we're going to lose. And that's exactly what happened last night. So, which should have been an absolute stabilizing and lifting win against the Ottawa Mammoth last night to propel us into Colorado tomorrow, to a game that, let's face it, we probably don't stand much of a chance to win. But you can hold your head high coming off a 2-1 desert mountain road trip. Now you're looking at a potential 1-1 and 2 or 1-1 and 1. Let's face it. So just a real gut punch. Tocchet was sort of perturbed coming off the ice last night in Ottawa, handled himself well. Called out some players without calling them out. Sanheim, Hathaway, Konechny, I believe he called out, even though Konechny had himself a really good game last night. But yeah, man, that goal. Those are the games that really make you realize how far away this team actually is from anything. So that's on the table tonight. Continue living in the sand, 3-legged table. 3-legged table, man. You know about them 3-legged tables. We've all had them in our lives. Or maybe just one leg was a lot shorter than the others, and you had to put the old matchbook down. Or just wad up some just like random loose leaf paper and just try to balance that out. We've all lived with a 3-legged table. Every one of us. If you grew up in Philadelphia in the 1980s, you've had three-legged tables, along with the big spool table. You know, the wire spool tables that you would have as a centerpiece in your rumpus room. So we had in our house. Our basement had one of them big-ass wooden wire spools as a table. You know you had one. But yeah, three-legged table and a buffoon. Oh, man. All right, so I'm 31 minutes into the show, and I have not even done the first thing. Have not even done the opening segment yet. Have not even given you our day in Philadelphia sports history. But the phone lines are open. You guys want them, you got them. Phone lines are open. Here in a second. There it is. Pop it into your feed right now. Let's get into our day in Philadelphia sports history. On this day back in 2000. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 2000. No, not 2000. 1992. That's right. We're going way back to when I was 19. Of all the career records established by the Sixers, one might think the career rebounding mark would belong to the 7'1" Wilt Chamberlain, a man who once pulled down an unfathomable 55 rebounds in one game. But in a 119-109 victory over the Knicks, Charles Barkley snagged his 6,642nd board for the Sixers' career mark. Ahead of Hall of Famers Chamberlain and Billy Cunningham, Barkley finished the season and his Philadelphia career with over 7,000 rebounds, which still stands as the team record. So on this night back in 1992, Sir Charles set and currently still holds the franchise record for rebounds in Sixer history. Charles Barkley, let me tell you what, man, what could have been with Charles, right? I mean, we've this type of guy, this type of story is littered all over Philadelphia sports. This showed up too late, right? Can you imagine Charles Barkley in his prime Dr. J, or with an in his prime Moses Malone, in his prime Mo Cheeks, Andrew Toney before his feet fell off? Can you imagine what Charles Barkley would have been with that group in their prime? I know that the battles that the Sixers would have against the Lakers and Celtics throughout my youth always seemed to have the Sixers on the losing end. Finally, in '83, broke through. By the way, the '83 Sixers parade was the first championship parade I ever attended as a 10-year-old. And of course, the last Sixers championship parade ever. But can you imagine how many more championships we would have had if we would have had Charles Barkley in his prime? Or I should say Charles Barkley with those players in their prime. Instead of getting Barkley at the end of Doc, at the end of Moses, at the end of Mo. And then after it was all said and done, with Barkley was standing alone to try to rebuild this franchise on his own, and they just never could do it. They could never put that talent around them. And he ended up fading away and getting an opportunity to compete with the Suns a little bit later on in that 92-93 kind of vein. But yeah, kind of what could have been situation when it came to Charles Barkley and the Sixers. So on this night back in 92, Barkley sets the all-time Sixer rebounding mark and left the team with over 7,000 rebounds for his career. Sixers beat the Rockies in overtime. There you go, Michael Papernick with a little Sixers news of the current Sixers that I have not watched 1 second of. Matter of fact, I have not watched the Sixers, to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you the last Sixers game I watched, and you're going to freak out when you hear it, was the game against the Hawks in the playoffs where Ben Simmons passed up the layup at the end. Yep, that was the last game I watched. That was the final game because I was done at that. When that game ended, I was done. Done with the Sixers, man. Done with that nonsense. And I have not come back since, and I don't think I ever will, honestly. The NBA is such a terrible product, and the Sixers are just a terrible product. But that's my little basketball knowledge for the night. I used to be a very, very fluent basketball kind of guy. Just lost it, man. Just lost interest in it. But I have not lost interest in the It's Rap Sports Network. And here you have it. Here's our schedule for the rest of your week. Tonight, you had the Gridiron Weekly Report, and then you got me tomorrow, Philly Friday Frenzy with Big Al and the Flyers Avalanche Clear the Ice postgame that I will not be part of. That's right. MattyB's got the night off. I have tomorrow and Saturday off. You will not see me on the airwaves. At least I don't think you will. Saturday is starting at 8 a.m. It's the best of the week of the It's a Wrap Sports Network. If you missed it the first time this week when it originally aired, well, you have a chance to watch it back to back on Saturday, beginning at 8 a.m. And on Sunday, Philly AM Sports and the Final Word will kick off your week. So there you have our remaining schedule for this week on the network. So please help us out. Like, share, subscribe, all those great things. All right, where are we on this? Let me get back to this thing. Pabernick says that Joel Embiid, 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists. Wow. Joe Embiid back? A little too little, a little too late. I know the Sixers are trending right now as a playoff team. They got some good young talent. I just don't like the product anymore. I'm sorry, man. And I feel violated and lied to all as well by the Sixers, about the whole process thing. I don't know. I mean, I'll talk Sixers, and I'm able to talk basketball. I still kind of follow it from afar. I don't really watch it anymore, and I'm not interested in it. Give me a good hockey game or baseball game any day of the week. I'll take that over basketball. But I am capable of talking Sixers ball. So that's good news for the Sixers, and more importantly, good news for Joel Embiid. Can he jump again? I know there's a big thing about him not being able to jump earlier this year. Is he fully healed? Is he fully recovered? Is he back to the Joel Embiid of 5 years ago? Now, if that's the case, well, we might have something on our hands here. All right. So again, the conversation tonight. Let's start off with one. Let's get one out there. I want to know what is up, man. Why do offensive coordinators? How is it we can't get a guy named Jim Bob Cooter? I mean, how is it we can't get him? And the whole funniest thing about this whole offensive coordinator thing that's, of course, been, dominating the headlines since the season ended is that 2 weeks ago, 98% of the Eagle fans out there could not tell you a thing about Jim Bob Cooter, could not tell you a thing about Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator, despised Brian Daboll because of his ties with the Giants. I mean, we hated them all, or we didn't know about any of them. Now, all of a sudden, everyone's a goddamn expert. Listen, I've said this on this show. I don't really give a damn who the offensive coordinator is. It doesn't matter. That person's influence on this football team has nothing to do with whether or not they're going to win or lose on Sunday. Jalen Hurts' buy-in and Nick Sirianni's lack of friggin' leadership and buffoonery and all that, that is what the real situation here is. Right? You could have, I don't care if you had a coaching staff that consisted of Vince Lombardi as the head coach, goddamn Bill Walsh as your offensive coordinator, and Buddy Ryan as your defensive coordinator. It would not matter if the quarterback was Jalen Hurts and he did not buy into what you wanted to do. It wouldn't matter who the quarterback was if they did not buy in. I don't understand why it's not evident and obvious in front of these Eagles fans' faces when it comes to this. There's a problem with the QB. There is, and I don't know what that problem is. We want to put our head in the sand when it comes to oh no, Jalen's a good guy. He's a team first kind of guy. Then how the hell come his design runs in 2025 went from 3.6 in a game, 3.6 a game average in 23, 24, and I think in 22 as well. And it went to 1.1. 1.1 design runs a game on average for Jalen Hurts in 2025. How come that number is evident and then all the leakage out of the locker room about him not wanting to be a running quarterback? How come the leakage out of the locker room saying, we go over these plays and we run practices all week long. Jalen executes this stuff, but then come game day, he goes off on his own and does whatever he wants and doesn't do what we talked about. How come we're not spending time talking about that? Again, this is a part of the homerism disease. They don't love the Eagles. No homer out there loves the Eagles. They don't. They love the players. And you can't talk critical of the players. It's okay to say that we don't have the right quarterback. It's certainly okay to say we don't have the right head coach. I want to know why we can't land the big fish. Brian Daboll is holding out for the potential head coaching job in Buffalo. Okay, I can understand that. But he's already said if he doesn't get that job, he's taking the offensive coordinator gig in Tennessee. Why would he do that? If this roster was so laden with talent, so heavy with championship pedigree, a near lock, not a miss, but a near lock to repeat or go back for a 6th straight year to the playoffs, go into the championship game, and get back to Super Bowl 61. Why in the hell would a guy like Brian Daboll essentially say, it doesn't really matter. If I don't get the Buffalo Bill head coaching gig, which I understand why he'd want to hold out for that, but if I don't get that, no, I'm just going to go to Tennessee and be the offensive coordinator for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 3 years. Doesn't have a quarterback. Right? We got this alleged elite leader. All he cares about is winning. All he does is win. Then why can't we get the best offensive minds to come here? Why? I want to know the real answer. Unfortunately, Brian Daboll is the only one who knows the real answer. The rest of us are just speculating. But why? Does that make any sense? That would be like me. I'm being offered the job as CEO of a top company in America, right? Boom, boom, boom. They're going to offer me all kinds of money, lifetime contract, whatever, my dream job, whatever that might be. But I see a better opportunity maybe to run a company in the next town. But I say, you know what? If I don't get the gig to run the company, I'm not going to take the CEO position at this company. I'm going to go work at McDonald's instead. That's exactly what Brian Daboll is telling the Eagles. I'd rather work at McDonald's than be your offensive coordinator. How can it be viewed any other way than that? Unless, of course, there's been no interest from the Eagles for Brian Daboll in the first place, which no one knows. A lot of speculation. But how can a homer justify this? This is what's so amazing about them. They got facts right in front of their faces, but they skew the facts for their narratives. They accuse me of doing that. They accuse me of having a narrative. Oh, I'm a hater. I don't like Jalen Hurts. Blah, 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 blah. But I'm gonna skew the facts to fit my narrative. Unfortunately, the facts fit my narrative without being skewed. They're the ones that got to skew the facts to fit a narrative. How are you going to tell me that Brian Daboll would rather work at McDonald's than coach or be the offensive coordinator for the Eagles? How can you look me in the eye and give me a viable reason for that other than you're lying to yourself and you're trying to sell us, the listening public, a bag of goods, bag of crap, actually. Mike McDaniel outwardly chose Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts. 100%. How else do you explain that? Oh, no, you wanted to go to the warm weather. You wanted to wear shorts 10 months out of the year. Isn't Mike McDaniel from Colorado? Did he grow up in Colorado? Didn't he go to college in Yale or Harvard or somewhere in New England? Mike McDaniel knows what it's like to live in the cold weather. He went to LA to work with a better quarterback. Why can't, and again, I'm not saying that that's the case, that Justin Herbert's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying that. But an offensive guru in Mike McDaniel, who's much regarded within NFL circles as an offensive guru, openly chose Herbert and Harbaugh over Sirianni and Hurts. Openly chose a team in the Chargers that has made the playoffs randomly throughout the last 5 years, never done any damage within the playoffs, over a team that's coming off of a Super Bowl championship and 2 Super Bowls since Super Bowl 57. Or 52, sorry. I gave him 57. 52. Why? Because he doesn't like the cold weather? Come on, man. I mean, how stupid are we? Or I should say, how stupid are the homers? Are you afraid to speak the truth? Are you afraid to look at it from a different side? Does your righteous moral majority not allow you to speak critically and open about the problems of the football team? Again, I would love a homer, man. I need a homer. I need to do a show with a homer. It needs to be MattyB and the Homer Show. We need to have a show like that on this network. Man, we need that. But how can you look at the facts, staring you straight in the face, and say it's because Mike McDaniel wants to go to the warm weather and wear shorts? It's amazing, utterly amazing. And again, the real reason, unknown. Maybe that is the reason. Maybe it is. Doubt it, but maybe it is. Matt Nagy. Wait, didn't he get hired by somebody already? Matt Nagy off the board? Anybody have an update on that? I'm not even following it. I'm following it from like the sidelines. I think it's terrible. Whoever's the offensive coordinator, bring in anybody. It doesn't matter to me. And it shouldn't matter to you. All that matters is his ability to get through to Jalen Hurts. And the autonomy question. Let's attack that for a second. You're damn right I'd want to guarantee that I don't have to answer to Nick Sirianni. You're damn right. Now, it's not because I fear accountability. And it's not because these coaches fear accountability. No, they fear accountability from a moron. That's what they fear. They fear accountability from a moron. And they don't want to belittle themselves in order to have to actually be accountable to a moron. So you're damn right I'd want autonomy. You're damn right I'd want it in my contract that in no certain terms does that buffoon ever even come inside my offensive room. I don't want to see him in there. I'll wave to him in the hallways. I'll give him the thumbs up, maybe a high five here and there. We'll program in the amount of high fives in the contract that I have to give Nick Sirianni, and I'll interact with him on the sideline. But in no way, shape, or form does that stumbling, bumbling, moron buffoon have any I am not accountable to that guy at all. I'll talk with Howie. I'll talk with Jeffrey. I'll talk with Fat Dom. I'll talk with John the Beer Peddler in Section 502. I'll talk to any one of them. But I ain't talking to that stumbling, bumbling fool head coach. So you're damn right. And I heard one homer say it today. Forget the show. One homer said that real good offensive coordinators don't want to come here because they fear accountability. No, that's not what it is. They fear accountability from a moron. Yes. There's a second side to that. Say the whole thing. I don't think they fear accountability. They fear accountability from a friggin' moron. So that whole narrative about the autonomy thing and Nick Sirianni is the head. No, he's not the head football coach. No, Nick Sirianni. It's disrespectful to refer to Nick Sirianni as the head football coach. It's disrespectful to head football coaches at every level to refer to Nick Sirianni as a head coach. 100%. And if I was a head football coach, coaching 9-year-old Pop Warner, I would write a letter explaining my disrespectedness. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right, phone lines are open, and we got a caller. Is it a long-time, first-time guy? No, it's not. It's just Joe Hale. Hey, Joe.
You could have took Papernick first. I'm sorry.
Papernick's not on here. I don't see Papernick.
So, yeah, Ricky's back in ICU.
So he said it's pneumonia, correct?
Yes, but we just found out his heart stopped on Saturday, and they got it started again. So, it's crazy.
So is he stable but in ICU at this time?
Yeah, he's moving his arms and legs. He had a little mini stroke.
Okay. Well, listen. Again, please, if you can get message to his family and to him, especially when he recovers, Obviously, our thoughts and prayers continue with Ricky Deal and his family through this very tough time. And we're pulling for you, Ricky. I fully expect Ricky to make a complete recovery, be back on this show within a couple weeks.
Sounds good.
Yep.
I want to talk playoffs.
What playoffs? Football, baseball, hockey, football, lacrosse, rugby, cricket, what?
NFL playoffs.
National Football League. I've heard of it.
I don't know. Have I? No. Charbonnet is a huge loss for Seattle.
Okay.
But Sam Darnold wins it. I have Denver getting blown out.
So Stidham doesn't harness the Nick Foles backup quarterback magic?
No.
And I don't think he does either.
And I see Seattle beating New England in the Super Bowl.
So you got Seattle, New England, and Seattle winning, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I'm going to give you my official picks a little bit later on the show.
Okay.
Okay.
And if you're talking about the Eagles, nobody wants it because I don't think Sirianni's the head coach. I think they have to report to Howie Dumbass Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie.
So you think the reason why nobody wants the job is because they got to report to Howie and not Nick?
Yes, and it's Nick, and nobody wants to work with Nick Sirianni or Jalen Hurts.
Well, no, I agree with that. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's the whole reason, but that's part of it. It is. It's definitely part of it. I don't know, Joe. If I was, especially Brian Dable, coming off of the head coaching trail, I'm not reporting to Nick Sirianni. Hell no, man. I'm not talking to you.
I also heard a lot of it has to do with Stoutland University.
Yeah, his name popped up today, and that's an interesting concept here, an interesting thought. I disagree with it. I don't think it's I don't know how they can. I know he's the offensive line coach as well as the run game coordinator. But if we're going down the line like this, and we're gonna start pinning some of these problems on Jeff Stoutland, who's next, man? You know, the guy taking tickets in the Southwest entrance. I don't know how deep we're gonna go with placing blame on why nobody wants to come here. To me, it goes no further than Nick Hurts and Jalen Sirianni. It goes no further than Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, in my opinion.
I think the front runner, and it's the Bears' offensive coordinator,
Matt Nagy. Wait, no. Oh no, the Brian O'Doyle or O'Doyle Rules, whatever his name is, the guy from Black Sheep. Is that it's called Tommy Boy or Billy Madison? Is that him?
Not Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy.
Oh, Matt Nagy. You don't think it's the new guy that they interviewed, the O'Doyle guy?
It's going to be O'Doyle.
How many O'Doyle Rules are we going to hear from this point forward?
And the Cowboys called the Eagles cornerback coach today.
Christian Parker.
Well, there's a report. Would you bring Eric Allen as a cornerback coach in?
Yeah, I'd bring him in as a position coach. I would. Yeah.
He played it.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Talking about the former defensive coach.
Yeah, I'd bring him here. Would you bring Brian Dawkins in as a defensive coordinator? Or not defensive coordinator, but defensive backs coach?
He's a scout with the Eagles. Yes, I would.
I don't know if he's a scout. I know he works. I thought he was actually working with the defensive secondary last year. I was looking that up. I don't know. He is involved somehow with the Eagles, but I don't think he's a accredited coach. I don't think he's actually on the coaching staff. I think he's like behind the scenes, that kind of thing.
And why hasn't Deuce Staley got interviewed?
Deuce Staley hasn't been interviewed in years. It's been a long time. He's missed a few cycles now for head coach. I don't know. I don't even know where the hell Deuce Staley is right now. He left Detroit. Where's he at now?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So
no, he's not with Detroit anymore.
Sixers with a big win. Embiid with his 10th triple-double of his career.
Nice to see Joel Embiid starting to get the scoring touch back. I don't know. I mean, Sixers got a good young team. I don't know if they have enough to get it. I don't know if this is the year that they actually win a championship. I doubt it, but
And MattyB is the first-time All-Star.
first time All-Star. Yep. I saw that
And
too.
BJ leads the scoring for rookies.
Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, it's worked out up to this point, but let's talk about it in April, right?
Oh, I'm going to give you some breaking news. Your former person is going live tonight at 11 o'clock on TikTok reel.
My former person. Who's my former person?
That works with the show behind the scenes.
Oh, Pat?
Yeah. If this internet works on TikTok.
Oh, Pat's been having internet problems on TikTok?
Yeah, and it's actually pretty funny.
It's funny, but it's not. Trust me.
He blames the Wi-Fi. That's
well, listen, Pat, God love Pat. And Pat is still a welcomed, valuable member of the It's a Rap Sports team. It's got to work out some problems, though. But I'm glad he's stretching his legs on TikTok.
I met him and Mike a lot.
You met him and Mike?
Yeah, a lot. Mike, I used to watch Mike wrestle.
What was his wrestling name?
I forget. It's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's on here. I'm going to bring him up. I'm going to ask him. I've never asked him what his wrestling name was.
Ask Mike about wrestling stories.
I don't want to talk wrestling stories, though, man.
No, he actually
I know Pat's name was like Frankie Fantastic or something like that.
Yes.
Something like that.
Mike was awesome in the ring, so.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. And I heard Mike still does it every now and again.
Yes. Now, do you watch college basketball? And this will be it.
I haven't watched college basketball since Nova won their second out of 3 national championships back in, what was that? Friggin' 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, around there. I haven't watched college basketball since then.
Nova looks pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen that. I have seen that.
This year.
I don't like their head coach, though.
You don't? From Maryland?
You got to bring Jay Wright back.
Jay Wright's too old.
Never should have left. Jay Wright was the man.
Okay.
All right, Joe. We'll talk to you on Sunday.
Yep.
All right. Again, please send my best to Ricky. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Joe Hale. Mike Papernick says Mike Laro's wrestler name is Slayer. Slayer. Oh wow, that's what I'm talking about. Did he wear a mask? Did he wear like a like the full tights or just the pants? That's what I want to know. As a matter of fact, let's do it right now. So, what's going on, Slayer?
What's going on, Matty? Yeah, my alter ego is the Dark Angel Slayer. Yeah, I was listening to you talk, and this whole OC thing, it's really funny. Like you said something about Jim Bob Cooter. You do realize, I do believe he was on the Eagles staff at one point in time, not under Sirianni, but under somebody else. I think he was here at one point in time.
But Mike, I mean, honestly, like who has thought about Jim Bob Cooter at all in the last 20 years? And all of a sudden now he's like on everybody's tip of everybody's tongue. Well, to me, it doesn't matter, Mike, who they bring in. It matters is what they can do with Jalen Hurts. Is there a buy-in there? I don't care if it's some guy fresh out of college or high school calling plays. There's got to be a buy-in with the quarterback. If not, you could have Bill Walsh doing it, being on the sidelines, and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, and the whole narrative now that guys don't want to come in here because of Jeff Statlin running the
where is that coming from?
WIP.
Yeah, but what's the basis of it? I don't understand why you would go after the offensive line coach. I mean,
because here's the thing: they're bringing it up that guys like Dable and the guy with the nerd,
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, they wanted to bring in all their own guys, including the offensive line, and that's why they're saying that. And the Eagles ain't trying to give up on Statlin, which I mean, I can agree with there, but as far as I don't think that's not the reason that they don't want to come here. And I'm gonna bite back a little bit about Dable wanting to go to Tennessee. They have a really good young quarterback down there in Cam Ward. Cam Ward is really good. He don't have that you want to talk about a bunch of wide receivers that are from Wawa. Look at the Tennessee Titans, man. Like they have a bunch of nobodies playing playing wide receiver. So, and I think Cam Ward, you get some guys around him, I think he'll be very, very well. I wasn't a big Dable guy, and same thing with the guy from Miami. I was kind of like lukewarm on both of them. The guy who I really want is Joe Brady out of Buffalo. And the reason why I want him is because I feel like he can work with Jalen. Now, again, Jalen's got to be receptive. And I'm going to do a little bite back. I'm not trying to be a homer here, but I just want to bite back on something. This dude's had a different coordinator since his sophomore year of college. Every year, he's had a different coordinator. Do you think maybe, just maybe, he's tired of getting a new coordinator in every year?
Yeah, but elite quarterbacks, it shouldn't matter. Right?
Listen, go back and look. What elite quarterbacks had the kind of turnover that he's had at offensive coordinator? Brady didn't have it. Brady was with what's the other guy that's up in New England? That's all he can do. Short little white guy. I can't remember his name. Josh McDaniel. McDaniel. He had Josh McDaniel forever, except for like 2 years. So I mean, like, there's been continuity there.
But you're telling me that Josh McDaniel refined Tom Brady, or did Tom Brady refine Josh McDaniel?
I think it was a little of both. Because if you look at come on, dude.
Brady wasn't tossing. He wasn't tossing the Randy Moss every year. He wasn't tossing the Gronkowski every year. He had his share of no-name players that he made look better.
He did.
That, all right?
He did, but he also had a killer defense to go with it. I mean, look, his first three Super Bowls. Like, I don't want to hear about Tom Brady being elite in that. I was at the game in Jacksonville. Trust me, that Jacksonville Super Bowl. If we didn't have a quarterback that was throwing up on himself, we probably would have won that game. So, like, I don't want to hear that. Like, that dude he benefited. So, I'm not saying that Brady didn't become the GOAT. Now he is. You know, I don't still put him up there. Matty, we're around the same age. I think we saw the GOAT growing up in our prime with Joe Montana. Yeah. I will always say that because I watched Joe Montana take beatings in games and still win. So, like, Brady never took beatings like he did. And
Lawrence Taylor teed off on Joe Montana routinely, and he kept coming back. I agree. Different game. I agree.
Way different. And I'll give you a little throwback. I went to a game in 1989. I was 13. They played the 49ers. The Eagles were up in that game like by 14 points or something like that, and they gave up like 21 or 28 points in the fourth quarter. That vaunted Philadelphia Eagles defense, Seth Joyner, Clyde, they gave up like 21 points or 28 points or something in the fourth quarter, and they lost the game by 10.
Yeah, that was a back and forth. Cunningham was dealing that day too. I mean, he was launching them that day. Yeah, I remember that game. And they came back and won. The Eagles should have won that game.
They should have won that game, and they came back. I remember what's his name, the running back, Andrew Toney. Andrew Toney had like 3 touchdowns that day.
Number 25, Andrew Toney. I remember him. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. But I don't know, man. I would like to see him go after a guy like Joe Barry. I do. I think he could. I think as much as Hurts could help him, he could help Hurts. But Hurts has got to get in the lab. I'm going to be the first one. I did not like the way he looked this season. I really did not like the way he looked this season, throwing the football. And if this is something that's going to have to go forward here, then the Eagles are going to have to start to look in another direction for the guy under center. Like, if he's not going to, like, listen, dude, the thing is, I think, kind of if you're looking at it, he didn't want to run. And I'm not making excuses, but you know how it is. He got the bag already, okay, as far as getting payments. He just got married over the last off season. Okay, he's already won it all. I don't think the hunger was there. Jalen's got to get back in the lab. Plain and simple. Like, I would be playing this tape for him every day going, this is where you need to get better at.
So if he's lost the hunger, though, Mike, isn't it time to maybe look at somebody who is hungry? Because you're only as good as your last body of work.
No, listen. I think Jalen's earned the right to have this season upcoming. If there's nothing going forward with this, like if you don't see any more progression or you don't see him getting in the lab and trying to work on his craft and get better, this is the one thing I liked about Hurts. when rent was due. You know what I mean? Like when rent was due, he was doing what he needed to get in there and better his game. You didn't hear about that. Like you didn't hear him going with Tom House out there over the summer and working on his game. This is what Jalen, I think, needs to do going forward in this offseason. I think the bigger hit was them losing Christian Parker today.
Yeah.
To the Cowboys, because not only do you lose them to a division rival, and here's a guy that knows the ins and outs of your defense. That's something that's going to be. But again, the Cowboys, to me, and I'm going to be honest with you, I like Schottenheimer. I really do. I think Jerry finally got it right with the coach. Now, if they can only get him the ingredients for him to cook with, they might have something kind of stowing down there in Dallas.
Yeah, listen, we learned this year with the parity of the league, and that's another thing that concerns me with the Eagles too, is that the old guard is starting to get washed away, and you got teams like, what you're seeing right now sort of rising up above. And is this just a one-year wonder? Is it a glitch in the matrix, or is this what the future of the NFL is? And the Eagles do have 23 free agents entering this season, and they have traded away 4 draft picks throughout the season in order to get players that did not work out for them, with maybe the exception of Jalen Phillips and Tank Bigsby. But you got to really try to stay innovative and try everything to stay on top. I don't know, Mike. The thing is this: where there's smoke, there's generally fire. And again, I've said this, and I tried to be very fair about this. Is it because Jalen Hurts and Sirianni, nobody wants to come here? Yeah, maybe. But is there other things involved that maybe the Eagles don't want certain people? Yeah, of course. There's probably a lot from both camps. Somewhere down the middle lies the truth, right? Is A.J. Brown affecting any of this? I would absolutely say it is,
Yeah.
Because I saw the offense get hijacked by A.J. Brown, by the coaches, in order to feed him, to keep him goddamn happy. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. So, yes, that has probably something to do with it. But I do think maybe lesser than Hurts, more so with Sirianni. I don't think former head coaches, Dable, McDaniel, maybe Nagy, I don't know. He'll probably be the next coordinator, but I think they have an aversion of coming here to be associated with Nick Sirianni and that circus of whatever he is as the person in charge of this football team. Maybe I don't know if it's a lot to do with Hurts. I think maybe it's got to be the Sirianni factor that's keeping a lot of people away.
I think Sirianni's on thin ice after this year. I think this year upcoming, I think he's on thin ice. I really, truly do. And to be honest with you, I know a lot of people don't think, and this is me thinking forwardly, if they go out and get a guy like Joe Barry, right, and they bring him in, just say they bring him in, you already have a guy on your staff who has head coaching experience in Vic Fangio. He can run the defense. Now you give the whole autonomy over to him and Barry and Stoutland and say, all right, you two control the offense. I'm going to control the defense. And Vic's got the longevity, I think, to kind of hold down that locker room. I think you're 1,000% right when it comes to Sirianni. I'm not a big fan of the guy. I haven't been. I mean, he's won, so it's kind of masked over some of the buffoonery that he has done. But to me, I don't like, again, Seth Joyner said it best. Like, what does he do? Yeah. Like, if you're an offensive guy, like me, I coach defense. Okay. I would never try to tell an offensive coach on what to do with his offense. I would stay in my lane. Like, again, how is it that we're suffering and it's your side of the ball? Like,
this could be a really easy fix. Sirianni, you call plays. You become the offensive coordinator. This could be a real easy fix.
Yeah, but you know what? We found out back in 2021. Yeah. We found out back in 2021 that he couldn't call the plays, because if you remember his first year with him and Steichen, okay, after the first 5 weeks or 6 weeks of the season, he literally looked at Shane and said, "Shane, take over," because his offense he couldn't run.
No, I agree.
So, again, but like, there are the two things, man. Jalen's got to get back in the lab. Jalen's got to look himself in the mirror and go, I can play better than this. And you know what? Again, you made your mark by getting here, by being a running quarterback. stop with that. I'm going to sit in the pocket. Guess what? You want to sit in the pocket, then your damn accuracy better get a hell of a lot better and stop being so scared to throw the ball over 20 yards down the middle of the field.
Yeah.
You know, if he does that, then you could sit there and say, hey, I'm not going to take off. But until you start perfecting those areas, you know, and I'm going to give you a little tidbit, Matty. I did an Eagles mock the other night, first one that I did, and I'm actually going to start doing Mike Lower's mocks for the NFL draft coming up. And if this draft plays out, holy cow, man. The Eagles got some really, really good players. And I like this mock too. I'll send you the link over for this one. It's pretty good, man. They have trades that get offered to you and stuff like that. So it was pretty darn good. My first mock, I can give you the first four. Tight end out of
Oregon.
Out of Oregon. The second round pick was the right tackle out of the national championship Indiana Hoosiers. The third round was the edge rusher from Alabama, starting edge rusher. And the fourth pick, believe it or not, was Katron Allen out of Penn State.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, if they were to get those four, I'll tell you this right now, it is going to make Barkley's life a lot easier. You get a kid like Katron Allen on this team. Katron Allen is Saquon Barkley, but just out of Penn, fresh into the NFL. Katron Allen is a beast of a running back. If they will not go wrong if you don't, if they don't get either or. You know what I mean? They can get him or Singleton. I preferably, if I'm looking for an all-around back, I would take Singleton because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. But I think they're going to end up with one of those two Penn State running backs.
Well, we'll see. And, of course, the draft is upcoming. And here on this program, we're going to continue our off-season progression. We actually ended up grading the draft class of 2023, Mike. I assigned grades to them because I'm a big fan of you can't really evaluate a draft class until you have 3 full seasons underneath your belt. And the way I graded it out was you had 3 hits in Jalen Carter, Moro Ojomo, and Tanner McKee, and you had 4 busts or misses with Nolan Smith, Keely Ringo, Sidney Brown, and who's the other guy?
Blankenship?
No, not Blankenship. It was Smith, Brown, Ringo, and making me, God damn it. Hang on, let me put it up. But anyway, it was about a 42% hit rate and a 57% miss rate. You really got to do better than that, Mike, honestly, in a draft, especially now that we're getting to the point we are with our money situation. Where is it? I'll bring it up for you. Oh, there it is. I'll bring it up. I'll tell you right now who it was. Sorry about that. I wasn't expecting to get into the draft tonight. But no, here we go. I got it right here. Ringo. Steen. So I got
Steen,
Smith, Steen, Brown, and Ringo. They missed, and they were all players. Smith, Steen, Brown, Ringo were all back-to-back selections. Yeah. He missed completely in the middle part of that draft.
Yeah, Sidney Brown to me, he's a heat-seeking missile, but he doesn't have any kind. Mike wants another Penn State to replace Barkley. No, I would just say if they're going to do that, why not go with Katron Allen? And I'm not going to, I'm not going to say he's going to come in here, but he can learn. He can learn from, Saquon. Let me ask Barbara a question. How long does she think Saquon really has left in the NFL? Because I think even with them re-signing him, he's got maybe 2 years.
I thought they should have traded Saquon at the end of last season for like a Herschel Walker type trade. I honestly thought they should have moved off of him last offseason because was he really going to replicate what he did? He'll never do that again. This year it was 1,000 yards, but one of the most uninspiring 1,000-yard seasons I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, though. I will put a lot of onus. Like this year, Jeff Stoutland's university kind of reverted back to middle school because the offensive line was just bad. Who can we get to replace Hurts? If she's talking draft-wise, I would not take there's only one kid in this draft, I think.
Mendoza.
No. Believe it or not, no, I'm not going to say that.
Why? What's wrong with Mendoza?
No, nothing. I think he's just going to be a Raider, dude. Like, he's going to be number 1. You know what I mean? But I'm talking after him. I like the kid Chambliss from Ole Miss. He's big. He's a mobile quarterback. He's got a strong arm. If they were to move on from Hurts and that contract, like you say, if you found somebody to take that contract, and move on. You know, I wouldn't be opposed to starting Tanner McKee for a couple of years and let Chambliss kind of back him up. But Chambliss is really, I like him. I think he's got a real strong arm, Matty, and he's accurate. He's deadly accurate. Problem with Ole Miss is they didn't have the receivers or the tight ends or backs. Like they were kind of lacking in that department. They're dead. Good defense, and the kid Chambliss just he reminds me of. He reminds me of a bulkier Randall Cunningham. Like he can get outside, he can throw the ball. So, but he's probably the only one like after Mendoza. Like I'm not. This is not a big quarterback class.
Terrible
at
class.
all. Yes, it is. I'll tell you what is really good though. The class that's really good for this, believe it or not, is tight ends and offensive linemen and edge rushers. This is going to be that type of draft.
Barbara, you're saying what's on the agenda tonight? Well, we've been on for about an hour and a half. We've been basically going over the offensive coordinator Eagle conundrum, why nobody wants to come here. Is it a Hurts Sirianni, now a Stoutland problem, or is it a problem with autonomy? Does nobody want to come here and have to report to Nick Sirianni firsthand or whatever? Also get into some Phillies talk. We really haven't scratched the surface on the Phillies, but the narrative that they're staying pat and that it's going to be another similar season, which I actually don't agree with. I think the Phillies have a potential if they infuse some of that young talent. If they do, I think things could be different. If they don't, then yes, things will be the same.
Did you have a moment of silence for Wes Wilson today?
No, I did not. But yes, he is now a Baltimore Oriole. Unfortunately,
Baltimore really kind of they went out on a limb. They went out on a limb this year, kind of going after some people. You know what I mean?
Do you want to remind everybody what your picks were for this weekend?
Yes, I am going with those New England Patriots this weekend, and here's my upset of the week, which isn't really an upset, but I'm going with those Los Angeles Rams. I think Sam Darnold does see ghosts this week against that Rams defense, and again, big injury for those Seattle Seahawks. If you watch props, Charbonnet is out, and they're going to be and believe it or not, their backup also got hurt in practice and is also out. So Kenneth Walker right now is the only legitimate running back that's on their team right now, unless they bring somebody up from the practice squad.
Charbonnet is the poor man's CMC, but he is very effective.
Oh, dude, that kid's you want to talk about that guy's a bulldozer. He's a bulldozer. Matty, I actually did me and Paul were talking the other night. I actually did a touchdown parlay, right, for $1. I did both games, right? I picked guys in both games to score, and then I combined it, right? For the Rams and Seahawks game, I took Jackson Smith and Jigba, Cody Parkinson, and Kyron Williams. On Bet365, it pays out 20-1. So for every dollar you put, you can win 20.
Yeah.
Now, for the New England game, I kind of went a little. I got some normal guys, but I kind of stepped out of the box a little bit. I did RJ Harvey, running back for the Broncos. I think they're going to have to rely on him heavily. I took him. I took Hunter Henry from New England, and then I took both quarterbacks to get a running touchdown. Believe it or not, that pays 125-1 on Bet365, and if you combine them and do a seven leg parlay for touchdowns, payout on $1 is $2,650 if all 7 of those guys score on $1. So yes, I will be putting my $3 in, and I'm going to sit back. Well, I won't be sitting back. Actually, we have the major weather coming in, so I will be out in my truck probably plowing from like Saturday night on. So. Yeah,
so about that, if the snow does come earlier, I know you have post-game obligations tomorrow, but if you cannot do it, just let me know. I'll hop on.
I'm free tomorrow. I'm good. It's not. We're not coming in till I think it's right now. It's looking like 5 or 6 on Saturday, and I'm probably going home Tuesday at 4:00.
Well, let Al know if you need someone to hop in on Sunday with him. I'll grace my presence. I'll grace the show with my presence.
There you go. I'm about to text Al that now. So I usually wait and give him like a day's notice. Like, hey, brother, I ain't coming on. But
let him know. Let him know. I'll jump on if he can handle it. But all right, Mike, let me wrap this bad boy up. Thanks for hopping on, or I should say Slayer, whatever.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Mike Arlo, everybody. Our compadre here at the It's Rap Sports Network. Don't forget to catch Mike out on Friday night on the Clear the Ice, and he's also going to does his Tuesday show, props, locks, and parlays, and he also does Sundays with Al on the Philly AM Sports Show. So no props, locks, parlays next week, as they're going to take a week off getting ready for the Super Bowl. So, and then we're probably going to wrap it up with the Super Bowl show. All right, let me get. Did we cut Hathaway yet? No. Talked about that earlier there, Barbara. Phillies GM said that Phillies aren't running it back because they signed JT. Yeah, no. Let's be specific. He said 20 to 25% of the roster has changed. He was referring to Weston Wilson not being there anymore and getting rid of some of the scrubber, relief pitchers. I get it, Barbara. I know it's frustrating. I do. But as I've maintained this, I did not have a grandiose plan heading into the offseason. I did not think they were going to be big-time spenders in free agency. I did not want them to be, because I'm all about the DNA change of this baseball team. I didn't want Kyle Tucker. I didn't want Cody Bellinger. I didn't want those players. We already have them players here. We already have players that are made up the same way. I wanted this contact guys. And the only real contact player that I saw that I kind of really coveted was Luis Ariz, the second baseman formerly of the Padres. I thought he could come in here and be that staple part in number 2 in our lineup, get on base, be a table setter, those traditional roles. But as far as my major offseason plan for the Phillies was to infuse that talent, that young talent, the Raconis Juniors, that Painters, the Crawfords, the Kemps, and then eventually Aiden Miller. That's what I thought honestly had to happen for this team. And I still think that path can be achieved. Now, it ain't going to look good coming out of spring training, because none of these guys not all this is going to click. But as the season progresses, because there's still a playoff roster with this group, it's whether or not there are going to be anything beyond that. And they can't be with this group, because we already know that. But as the season continues and that young talent infuses itself, they get the opportunity, they play, and they play well, this could be something as we move through the season. It's not going to look pretty in the beginning. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. It's not. It's going to get frustrating. It might get so frustrating that Rob Thompson's replacement, who was brought here to be the bench manager, Don Mattingly, may actually take over at some point. But if they can stay true to the young players, work them in, I'm okay with that. That's what I wanted, because that will change the DNA of this baseball team, as well as getting rid of Castellanos and what's his name? Boom. There's no way they can start the season with those two guys on the roster. So, but I'm not giving up. I can't give up, Barbara. Good God, we're like 3 weeks away from pitchers and catchers haven't even reported yet, and we're punting on the season. Baseball's too long of a season for me to give up on it in January. I just can't bring myself to that. I can't. But anyway, we've been at this for an hour and a half. Peppernick, I see you. You're waiting. The phone lines are open if you want to hop on. The link should be on all of your and yes, Garnet Hathaway. Oh, man, last night. Yeah. Dave Yarnell checks in. What's up, Dave? Mets have made a few moves, but we've seen the Mets do that in the past too, and it hasn't worked. Peppernick, I see you. I'm going to run the of the night segment, and then we'll get right to your call, and then probably wrap this up. So hang in there. Let's do some of the night. We're going to do some Philly spotlighting tonight on the of the night segment. All right, yeah. So we started spotlighting Phillies players this week. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to, we kind of dipped our toes into the waters there of the Phillies spotlight players of 2026. We're going to continue that tonight. We're going to end the week with one of the hopeful players that we are pinning a lot of our expectations and hope, God, please, to the Phillies in 2026, and especially one of the most questionable parts of our team. That's our starting pitching rotation. And we're putting a lot on the shoulders. Who the hell is that? Of Andrew Painter. Did Andrew Painter get into Jose Alvarado's medicine cabinet? Holy Christ. That is obviously not Andrew Painter. But anyway, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. The pitching phenom that's coming back from Tommy John, 5-8 through a journey through the minor leagues last year that began in high A, or is it low A? Is it low A now? Low A Clearwater, and culminated with a long stretch of time in Lehigh Valley. Finished with a 5-8 combined record, 5.26 ERA, 26 starts. Pitched 118 innings and had a whip of 1.49. Listen to me. These numbers are not jumping out at anybody, and there's his career minor league stats down there on the bottom. I get it. I'm not getting excited over a 5.26 ERA. I'm not getting excited over a 5-8 record. What I'm getting excited about is 26 starts and 118 innings without reporting of any sort of injury. That is what I'm excited. We forget the guy's coming back from friggin' Tommy John. Not a sprained owie, all right? He's coming back from major shoulder reconstructive surgery, and he was able to go 26 starts for 118 innings without reported injury or shoulder problems or soreness, stiffness, whatever. That is what I am concerned. Now, am I thinking Andrew Painter is going to pop onto the scene in March, pitching out of the 5 spot in our rotation and set the MLB world on fire? No. But do I expect Andrew Painter to get every opportunity to work out some of those kinks throughout this season? Yes. And yes, I believe Andrew Painter will be a success story at some point. I don't know what the ceiling will be because you can't really judge that at this particular moment in time. But yeah, 5-8 and a 5.26 ERA are nothing to get excited about. But 26 starts and 118 innings are definitely something to be excited about. And that's where we're at with the Andrew Painter experiment. Like it or lump it. And he is definitely going to be asked to do a lot of work in that pivotal number 5 hole, and then maybe at one point, will he be the 4th starter? Wait, no, he'll always probably be the 5th starter, right? Yeah, he'll stay the 5th starter in 2026. And again, that is not Andrew Painter unless he got into Jose Alvarado's medicine cabinet. So I apologize if any Andrew Painter's friends or family are watching this. Obviously, AI helped me out, and I didn't notice that when I did this. No, it looks like Tom Berenger, the actor, doesn't it? A young Tom Berenger, or Andrew Painter after getting into Jose Alvarado's medicine cabinet. Anyway, there you have it. Tonight's Philly Spotlight player is the hope of the future, part of that youth movement I talked about, Mr. Andrew Painter. The most depressed I get is when I watch the Flyers play and hurts. Yes, it doesn't really move the needle for me either, Barbara. It is very depressive. But talking to Mike Papernick is not. Mike, thank you for being patient. What's up?
Hey, what up, Matty? You know, I've been on all night listening, and the one thing I haven't heard is how come nobody's talking about Aaron Nola with the crappy season he came from, whatever's going on with him, pitching in the World Baseball Classic for Italy, instead of focusing on the season. This has Joel Embiid written all over it. Coming off a bum knee, playing for Team USA, and well, he looked good, and then then he had a shit season.
Well, first of all, let's address this. What part of Italy is the Aaron Nola clan from? I mean, what did they grow up in Sicily? I mean, I would think maybe French because they're from Louisiana. Does he have dual Italian citizenship? How does he end up on Team Italy there, Papernick?
He's probably got a great grandfather of some sort, or uncle, or grandmother. Wow. Somebody. He's got a hair of Italian in him. I don't know how that works.
but let me answer your question directly. As far as the WBC goes, and we talked about Aaron Nola last night. We spotlighted him last night about his north of 6 ERA and all that, and how much listen, let's face it, there's a lot on his shoulders heading into the season, especially with the Wheeler thing, right? And we need him to be whatever the best version of he can be. Now, with that being said, I'm a huge fan of baseball playoffs in March. I love the WBC. I absolutely love it. And I think this could only do wonders for all the players that are participating. I think the Phillies are sending like 9 total around the world, right? I like it. Put Nola in a high-pressure situation right off the bat. Now, Italy's going to make it through pool play, and that's it. But, I mean, I'm down with it, Mike. I want to see him right back in it. I want to see him get right into high competitive, meaningful baseball right from the beginning.
But you said it. I think he's the most important pitcher on this staff right now.
Yes,
because you have Sanchez, and you have Luzardo, and then it falls after that. Not falls. If Nola don't show up, you're putting a lot on Walker and Painter. I mean, nobody knows what we're going to get with Painter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody remember Spencer Howard? Oh, yeah, he was a phenomenal guy down there. Yeah, they traded him to Texas, and everybody saw how that worked out.
Nah,
I'm not saying but he pitched good in the minors.
Yeah, he did, and he never. And
that's what I'm getting at.
He didn't have it. No, I know you're right, and unfortunately, we can't sit here in January. I can't punt the season in January until we go through this. There's a lot, Mike. There's more question marks on this team than anything else. I got you, man. And the Phillies have not put themselves, at least on paper, in the best position to start the season, especially what's been happening around them. With the trade last night of Peralta going to the Mets. The Mets now have at least 3 solid starting pitchers in their rotation. And today, Mackenzie Gore being traded out of the NL East over to Texas for a boatload of prospects. Hell, I would have taken Mackenzie Gore. He would have been nice on this rotation. Love to have Mackenzie Gore. So you're right. There's a lot of questions about what's going on.
I mean, when I say third place, I'm really hoping for to win the division. I just don't see it. You know what I mean? Like it's just a lot because the last 2 years really bothered me on how they, especially the Mets won. That bothered me a lot. You went against a team who had no pitching at all. You just didn't lose. You got embarrassed.
Yeah.
And then you go against the Dodgers. And that's a whole different. That's a whole different breed of animals out there. That's an all-star team. So,
but the pitching for the Phillies against the Dodgers wasn't the problem. It was the offense. That was what it came down to. They couldn't get the hits when they needed them.
Well, that's the problem. People think this is going to change. It's like an infection. Once they swing at the dirt, they all swing at the dirt.
Yeah,
it's going to now. And what we always talk about, it's going to go back. It goes back to the guy running the team on how this lineup is laid out, and he don't lay it out right. He don't switch nobody unless it's maybe Baum, maybe Baum because he's there most. He's about the fourth. He's about 90% at 90% fourth hitter in the lineup. Sometimes he switches them out, but everybody from that down all the way down gets switch. He will not switch Harper. He won't switch Schwarber. I wouldn't switch Turner. But he don't want to put guys in positions where Schwarber can hit 50 home runs and have 145 RBIs.
Yeah, it's been a very frustrating situation. I agree.
And okay, now to go to the Eagles. So Jim Bob Cooter was with he was a consultant in 2021 with Sirianni. So you mentioned AJ Brown. So check this out. AJ Brown's pulled 2 stunts on the Eagles. One with Brian Johnson. And one with Kevin Petula, with the 2 young guys. He didn't do it with Steichen, and he didn't do it with Kellen Moore. Now, I'm not saying he's the problem. I believe the problem is a combination of Jalen and Sirianni. I actually believe it's more Sirianni because here's the deal. If that quarterback's really telling them that, you're telling me Lurie and Howie don't have the balls to say anything to him? I think it's Sirianni. I think nobody I think you hit it around those. Them guys look at Sirianni as a joke.
Yeah.
Like he's the only guy in the NFL that cannot run an offense or a defense if he had to. The only coach in the NFL. And then they're going to bring in this kid Declan. He's 29 years old. No, that's got written all over it. You know what that tells me?
Written all over it. It's got Sirianni's written
right
boy.
That's it right there. Now, now there is a silver lining. He came from Ben Johnson, and whoever Ben Johnson came off of, whatever staff he came out of, it was somebody else who was pretty good. No, there was somebody else who was he came out of, who was an offensive coordinator who he came, off of staff, like a tree. I can't remember who the guy was, but it was pretty good. no, just look, I'm with Mike. You got to go get like somebody like a Brady, or you got to go get somebody like and Jim Bob Cooter is 40. He's only 41, 42. Now I don't know how long he's been in the NFL, but with a name like Jim Bob Cooter, you would think he's 95 years old.
Yes.
But
do we want a Jim Bob Cooter patrolling the sidelines? I mean, it's too easy. That's too easy in this town. We're going to take man.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, and you know what? People Stoutland gets a pass in my book, because if you don't have Stoutland for the last 5 years, who's running that? Who's making that offensive line any good? I think he gets a pass for this year. A lot had to do with injuries. He can't control that part of it. Okay, maybe they didn't play well, but they're going to try to dump it on that guy who's probably one of the top 5 best offensive line coaches of all time, maybe, or top 10 at least. I mean, this guy's really good, and they're going to. If he walks away, Sirianni's in trouble.
Well, I understand.
You have to bring Jason Kelsey in.
I understand an offensive coordinator coming in here and wanting his own people, and I understand that. And I mean, maybe they put Stoutland in some other position. I don't know. They obviously wouldn't fire him from the organization. I get that, and I also get what you're saying. Stoutland has taken lumps of clay and turned them into Hall of Fame players. I 100% agree with you. But Kaepernick, and this is a point that me and Mike talked about. You with the way the NFL is evolving. And if this season is any indication of what it's going to be like, you got to evolve and you got to go fast, or you're going to get left behind by the freaking Jacksonville Jaguars. So, I mean, I understand it. And it's not, I don't think it's as cut and dry as everybody wants it to be. I know it looks disrespectful to say we're going to move off of Stoutland because somebody else wants to bring their own people here. But at what point, do we look at this and saying we got to stay competitive with the rest of the league?
Yeah, but just remember, nobody was talking about that last year when they were 100% healthy.
No, I know. I get it. I understand. But if they bring a coordinator in, that he's going to want his own people. And I'm not saying that should be a stopping point to bring the guy in. I mean, you could probably work that out, but I do understand what a coach wants. And this also goes back to that power struggle, that autonomy thing about who are they reporting to, who's in charge. Mike, let me ask you this, man. You're a knowledgeable guy. You're a sports guy. And we know we know what we're talking about most of the time. Could you see, even if you were gifted an opportunity, Mike Kaepernick, the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, you're getting a job. They've offered it to you. Are you going to go take it knowing you got to report to friggin' that moron every day, that guy is going to be the one shaping you? I wouldn't even want to do that. I don't know what I'm doing as an offensive coordinator, let alone coming out of a head coaching gig with the Giants or Dolphins, and then I'm going to have to report to Nick Sirianni. Are you insane? I ain't doing that. I can definitely understand that.
Yeah, I'm with you that, because I read something today or I saw somewhere, or maybe I heard it on a reel or something, that how long would it take? How long is it going to be before Nick Sirianni sticks his nose into the offensive coordinator's business during the year that it was being said, where all this autonomy comes from? How long is that going to last? Now, here's the thing. I don't think it's with Stoutland. All that stuff there. That's Jeffrey Lurie and them want to keep him. I don't think it's. Do you want to report Sirianni? No. That's the problem. I think. Just cut ties with the guy, Sirianni. That's all. Just cut ties with him. Howie, you just cut ties with him. What do you got? What else can go wrong right now? Seriously. So if you were to hire, I'm using an example. You brought in a Mike Kafka, because I'm just using examples. Head coach. What can seriously go wrong with this team that ain't going wrong this year? You get worse. All right, then we know maybe it was a Sirianni. I don't know. But I don't want to see Vic Fangio as head coach. That's all I know. I watched him in Denver.
Yeah, he's not a good head coach.
Some guys are yes. Some guys are meant to be where they belong, and that's right. And that's where he belongs.
Smart ones who figure that out and say, you know what, that's what I'm doing. No, I agree.
And I get what Mike said. He because I think Vic would have the respect of everybody. I don't. It's a shame that, how do you put this? I think players respected Sirianni when he first got here, because he listened when when the first or second year was when they ran the ball and all that stuff. They're running it. And I think he lost that somewhere when he tried to be the smartest guy in the room and he's not. Like with the Brian Johnson thing, and then he had I have to give it up, and he didn't make that decision for Kellen Moore. That was the other two guys upstairs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I this year agree.
Here's a good thing. I do think it's going to be Jim Bob Cooter. Now, I don't know much about the guy. I know he worked with Stafford, worked well with him out there and all that, and he was throwing the ball down the field. The good thing is he's a veteran guy. Can Sirianni get over on him? That's, you know what I mean? Is he going to be able to stick his nose into it without saying, no, stay out of it? That's the part that I don't know, that slim line there, if he's going to have the balls to say that. But I'm with Mike. I think Sirianni's on a hot seat. I think Jalen, I've been saying Jalen's got another year here. Another year. I think because they could. I think Howie will figure something out after next year with Jalen, and that's it's going to have to. And it's a shame because there's a lot of talent on this team, and it's just going to crush. Now, here, real quick, think about this. Do you remember when Randall Cunningham was the quarterback for the Eagles? Because I remember a documentary. He said at the end of the week, Buddy Ryan would come to him and say, "Scrap what you learned from Rich Kotite. Scrap it. Just go and play." I know they're not. If Jalen's walking up to them and saying, "I'm not doing this and doing it my way," that I get that falls on Sirianni. He's got to be the head coach. But them two guys, the guy upstairs, and I'm not talking about Howie, the big guy, Lurie, you're paying that guy all that money. You should be personally walking your ass down there and telling him, listen, you have to. So, look, there's a time to be a friend, not a friend, a father, not a father, and that's the problem too.
And the report out of the locker room this year, or out off the team this year, the leak was that in practice, Jalen Hurts executed everything for the game plan flawlessly, and then come game day, he's ended up going back and doing whatever he wanted to do. That's what one of the things that came out this year. I don't know if you remember that was like kind of mid-season time frame. And that's concerning. If you don't have the buy-in from the quarterback, it's not going to matter who your offensive coordinator is. And that's a fact.
The RPO thing, do you think he's afraid to run that because he's been injured a couple times?
That's a great question, but you don't go from 3.6 on average of design run plays a game last year, 24, down to 1.1 design run plays this year a game. That's too big of a drop off to be that we just ran a different scheme. Now there's something else to that, and it might be the injury. It also might be that he doesn't want to be known as a running quarterback, and then he wouldn't be the first running quarterback that wants to break that stigma. But none of his predecessors have been able to successfully break that stigma because it's a big part of their game. Maybe Michael Vick would probably be the one that came closest enough to breaking that stigma of being a running quarterback. But Michael Vick has a way more powerful arm than Jalen Hurts ever does. So it's a little different situation. I'm concerned about the quarterback. A lot of the shade goes to A.J. Brown for being a prima donna, 100%. I think the quarterback is just as much as a prima donna as A.J. Brown is. He just goes about it differently.
When you're you sound like you get an analytics, looking up all this stuff. So look up when you get a chance, and not tonight, when he was with Steichen, what the RPO was, what was the percentage of running at, what he ran with Brian Johnson, because he was a new guy, what he ran with Kellen Moore, what you just said, and it got lower running with a new guy. So I want to know if it got lower with Brian Johnson than it was with Steichen, because that's telling me they're getting over on these new offensive coordinators.
Doing what they want to do.
on the new ones, not the guys that are veterans. So if it's like a pattern where it was with Johnson, then it skipped Moore and then Patullo, okay, then it is a Jalen, but that's a coaching thing too. That's something you got to. I mean, you got to nip that in the ass somewhere. I don't know how they would do it. I mean, I know what I would do. I'd do a Mike Singletary and tell him sit his ass down or go to the locker room. You want to run it? All right, listen. You can take your $40 million and sit down on the bench. I'll put him in, let him play.
Because Tanner McKee will run whatever I tell him to run. Absolutely, yeah. No, I agree.
I don't believe that Jalen isn't hungry. I don't believe that. I believe a lot what's going on with him too, and I've been saying this for a while. I think a lot might be psychological, and I don't know why nobody even send him to a sports guy. Let him talk it out, man, to a therapist. I mean, look, we talked about it. It worked for Greg Maddox.
Yeah.
It worked wonders for him. And check this out, Roy Halladay, Toronto Blue Jays, shit the bucket. What? He was shitting the bucket like the first season or something.
Terrible.
Send him down. What he won? What he win? 3 Cy Youngs, whatever it was. How many Cy Young
One
wars?
of the most dominant pitchers of his era. Absolutely, it does. Sometimes they get refocused. I agree.
That's what I'm getting at. And I get it, you're paying the guys $50 million. But when you're like 9-4, if you lose one game and split it, if you sit them for 2 games, you split it. Maybe that teaches them a lesson. I don't know. I mean, but they got to do something. And Sirianni, if everybody thinks about this, it's Sirianni and Jalen. That's who people. They don't want to deal with what's going on there. That's what it is. And I think it goes back to what you were saying. Who wants to go and have to answer to a head coach who's a bumbling fool and don't know what he's doing? I mean, he's just running down, yelling at the refs, and the announcers talk about the facial expressions he's making.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all he can do. Nothing else.
I agree, Papernick. All right, man. Listen, I'll let you go.
Hey, you have a good night.
Good week of stuff, Papernick. We'll hope to see you on Sunday. We get this thing going again.
All right.
All right, bye. All right, Michael Papernick, my man. Talk it up all week long. That's what I'm talking about. I want more. I need some more on-air stuff. You guys, Barbara, I need to see you pop on air. The link is out there. All you got to do is click. You don't have to have your microphone, or you have to have your microphone. You don't have to have your camera on. I would love to see you come on air. I need some new blood. Tired of talking to Joe Hale and Michael Papernick. No, I'm kidding. But I need to have some new blood. Thank you, Barbara. Thanks for jumping in. I appreciate it. Barbara put some good stuff out there as well. But listen, we're gonna stop tonight. I'm coming up on 2 hours. But yeah, the topics of tonight were why is it true nobody likes us, and well, maybe nobody really does like us because we can't seem to find an offensive coordinator, and why? Don't tell me it's because Mike McDaniel wants to wear shorts all the time, or that Brian Dable, with the prospect of becoming the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, wants to go work at McDonald's in the Tennessee Titans if the Buffalo Bill job doesn't work out. Don't tell me that. There's something more to this stuff. And I'm not buying the homerism stuff. I'm not buying anything that they're selling. Philly is staying pat, but I still believe in the fact that if they can infuse that young talent, things might work out. If they don't, then we're up against the same thing. So we are going to wrap it up. We're not going to do the card tonight. We'll wait for next Tuesday or next Sunday to do the card. How you doing, Jorge? Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. We will be back next week. But before I do go, let me reveal my picks for this weekend. Everyone else has been giving them. So let me give you mine. First, let's recap of what happened for me for the divisional round. 3-1 I was in the divisional round. I just missed on Buffalo, Denver. That was a catch. So Buffalo should have won, but they did not. But I hit on every one of those games. My NFC Championship, AFC Championship game picks, I like New England to beat Denver handily. I don't think Stidham has the Nick Foles backup magic in him. So I think that game is going to be over probably by halftime, honestly. And over the NFC, which will probably be a great game. Give me the Rams. So I'm looking at the Rams and the Patriots as well in the Super Bowl this year. battling for an opportunity to win that Super Bowl. And does Drake May, do we, God forbid, have to deal with another Super Bowl championship by the New England Patriots? Are they back? And do we have to deal with that for the next decade? Well, time will tell. We can do the card review. I will. I'm sorry, brother. No, it's about what? I'm fine. Everything is good. But anyway, we'll talk Sunday. Don't forget, tomorrow is the Philly Friday Frenzy of Big Al. And Michael Lara will clear the ice Saturday. If you want to get some, if you missed all the stuff the first time that aired this week, we'll be doing the best of It's a Wrap Sports for the week. And I'll be back on Sunday night. You guys have yourself a great Friday. Papernick also says Seattle, or says good show. And he's got Seattle and New England in the Super Bowl. With Seattle winning the Super Bowl, I disagree. I think L.A., I'm not picking my Super Bowl pick yet, but it's going to be L.A., New England. Thank you, Papernick. Good show. Thank you for your contributions, as always, and everybody else that chimed in. You guys have yourself a great Thursday night, a great Friday, a great weekend. I probably won't talk to you guys till Sunday, so we'll probably know who the Super Bowl matchup is by then. So until then, stay warm, stay dry. Go out and buy all the bread and milk you want for whatever. I don't know what you do with the bread and milk during a snowstorm, but apparently people like to buy it. Go ahead and buy also eggs. Maybe they're making cake. I don't know. Go ahead and make sure you guys are okay for the weather that's coming. We'll talk on Sunday. Take care.